Hey everyone, it's John again. Today we're going to be going over going places, directions on how to describe where you're at or how to find somebody, or directions on how to get to a place. And then mix in heavily American slang phrases or Southern slang phrases, just how people normally talk instead of more of the proper terms and grammar that you might be used to. Uh, I have there in bold, where are you headed? That's a much more common way to say where are you going. So saying where are you going is completely right. Uh, but in speech, people usually say it as where are you going. They turn you into ya. And then a more common way to say going is headed. So where are you headed? Where are you headed? It all means the same thing. You just might hear more of the slang terms when you're talking to an American. I know English people have their own words and phrases. Australians have their own. Obviously, I only really know American phrases and then specifically Southern U.S. phrases. Starting out, we're going to be going over a little bit of the more basic stuff. So you have your fixed directions that are like north, east, south, and west. Those are called cardinal directions. So that might be when someone's giving you a direction somewhere or asking where you live relative to something. So they might ask you if you live north of a city, or if you live maybe north of a river, are you east of something? Or they might say go east, head east. So those are more of a fixed location. It doesn't matter where you're at. North is always north, east is always east. A little bit of a point in there is many times, actually most of the time, in the US, it's a more normal way to phrase it as up and down for north and south. So many times, like I'm in Texas, so if I were to say, I'm going to Canada, I would say I'm headed up to Canada. It's the exact same thing as heading north, or I could say I'm headed up to Dallas. It's just a city to the north of me. I'm headed down to Mexico. It would, from where I'm at, it would sound really improper saying I'm headed up to Mexico when it's to the south, when it's below me. So it's a little bit of the informal way to say north and south, up and down. So you'll hear that plenty from American speakers if you're talking about directions or where they've been going. East and west don't really have a specific word like that. Usually we would say over. So if it's not north or south, I can say I'm headed over to Louisiana. I'm headed over to Arizona. Those are east and west of me. So yeah, it's no real exact words for either east or west. It's just can head over there or over to the other side. The relative directions, the right, left, straight, and back, those are more useful for if you're getting directions while you're driving. If they're saying turn left, turn right at something, or go straight. Another word for straight is forward, and then the opposite is back or turn around. So if you're driving or walking somewhere and you go too far, you need to turn around. The only other real directions are, so again, up and down are relative directions as well. So you could look up at the sky or down at the ground at your feet. Those are really as common as, you're not going to hear those when getting directions to go somewhere though. Jumping into some of the phrases you'll hear. So into and inside, it just means to enter. So into the store, get into the car, inside the car. It just means going, entering or going from outside into in. So are you going into the store with me or waiting outside in the car? The next one, there's many different ways to say the same thing pretty much. Near, nearby, by, next to, close to, around. It all means something that is relatively in proximity to. So proximity is a tougher word. I think that's probably less common, but maybe you already know one of the 5 words on the left side, and it's all relative. So right now my computer is next to me, it's nearby me, it's close to me. But if we're talking about places, maybe I would say a city is nearby me or a city is close to me. It's just the opposite of far away or away from. And we'll go through that one next. So, is your apartment close to a bus stop or are they far away? Towards means in the direction of. So I am looking towards the camera right now. If I were to get closer, I'm moving towards the camera. Away from is the opposite. Towards is just anything moving in the direction of something. Just walk towards a smell and you will find the restaurant. So if you smell food and you walk towards the smell, you will find the food. Away from, or another way of saying this is far away. Not quite the exact same, but away from is the opposite of towards. So I'm moving away from the camera. If I move back, maybe in my example I have, if something smells bad, you want to move away, get away from me, you smell terrible. So away from is just increasing the distance. And that's sort of related to the term far away. So if you're moving away from something, you're wanting to get far away from it. Over here, we talked about this a little bit in the last video. Over here, when the speaker says that, or when someone talking says that, they just mean it is near them or relatively near them again. So your phone is over here by me, come over here by me. And the opposite is not quite the opposite, but it's over there just means it's not near the speaker. So anything that's not relative to me, it's over there instead of right here. Can you go over there and grab my water cup? So if I don't feel like getting up and I ask someone to go get me something over there, that's where that phrase is used. And again, those are relative. So if I'm talking about stuff in my area, my phone is right here and the kitchen is over there. If I'm talking about a city or a state, I could say Louisiana is right here by Texas, but New York is way over there. So it's all relative. It's not really a set amount of distance. On this side, we're going over some more directional words. So just some basic words on how to locate things or describe where things are at or maybe where you are at. So imagining the circle as maybe a building or a store, a mall, we can go through that. So starting at the top, where it says top, so maybe that's the roof of a building, it's on top, it's above, maybe there's a second story, so that's what that means there. The black line, you could call that the edge. So the edge of the shape or the edge of the store, maybe the walls of the store. Going towards the word on the right side called beside. Beside just means anything next to or to the side of. So it's really difficult not to use the words in their own definitions here, but beside is anything that is next to something. So right now I have my computer beside me, I have my phone beside me, anything that is right next to you. The center middle, that means within and the central point. So it's equal distance from all of the edges or all of the outside. So if someone tells you to meet you in the middle of something, you would go to that central point that's equally far away from everything. Then kind of some basic terms on inside, outside. Inside, you would walk inside a store to go into it or to start buying stuff, to start looking. And then everything else is on the outside. And lastly, you have the bottom, or another words for it are underneath and below. So those are some more basic ones, but I thought it'd be helpful to give a little bit of a visual example. On this slide, we're going to be going over some more phrases and words that are common for giving directions or talking with people about where you're going, where they're going. The first one that we have is meet. So this one's a little bit different of a definition than meeting someone for the first time. That's not what this is. This one just means to join at a place. So this could be your friend, your family, someone you've known all your life. But meeting them in this case just means both of y'all are going to go to the same place and see each other there. So if you call your friend and say, meet me at the mall, that's what this is. Or you can say, meet me at the restaurant. It just means that you are going to see someone there. It doesn't have to be for the first time. The next one is past or too far. So if you were supposed to walk 1 kilometer and you walked 2 kilometers, then you went too far. You went past where you're supposed to go. The definition is beyond the destination. That's a little bit of a more complex definition, but hopefully the example worked where you walked too far and went past the store. Turn around, you went too far. The next one is on the way. So this has a few different definitions. One of them is simply asking if there's something in the same direction you're going. So if you are on your way walking to work, maybe there is a store or bus stop on your way to work. If you're walking down the street, on your way walking down the street, you might see a bar, or you might see a homeless person on your way to the on your way to work or on your way to somewhere. And that's sort of the same definition as in the same direction of. So in the direction you're going, is there something there? Is there a store on your way to the party? Maybe you can pick up a drink on the way to the party if you're walking by a store on the way. The next definition is in the process of going somewhere. The example is, are you on your way or are you still at home? So it's, have you left yet? I am on the way. I have left and I'm going there. Or I haven't left. I'm not on the way. I'm still at home. I haven't left. The next word is in between. So this one means in the middle of. You could say the store is in between 2 buildings. I am, or my phone fell between the couch cushions. So I think that's a more common example of things. Between just means in the middle of, or you could say in a sandwich, the meat is in between 2 pieces of bread. Stop by, it means a quick trip. So can you stop by the store on your way home? Can you make a quick trip to the store on your way home? You could stop by and visit a friend too, or stop by and visit family. It's just something you do as a quick side trip. Pick up and drop off are extremely common terms in the US. Pick up means to get something or someone. So if you want to, it's the most common thing I can think of is a kid asking their parent to pick them up maybe from school. So if a parent is picking their kid up from school, they are going to the school and getting their kid and bringing them home. Not necessarily bringing them home, but just getting them from school. So can you pick me up when the party is over? So someone is ready to go home and they want someone to come and pick them up. Can you pick up some milk from the store? So it doesn't have to be a person, it can be a thing. It's just anything about going to get somebody. And dropping off is the opposite or reverse of pickup. So this is either maybe dropping off at school in the morning, so going from home, dropping a kid off at the school. Maybe if you're at a party with a friend and someone asks you if you can drive them home before you go home. So can you drop me off at my house after the party? Picking up and dropping off, extremely common terms. Here we're going to be talking a little bit about the differences and how English is written and the voice patterns in it too. So differences in speech and grammar across different uses, if it's a business use, if it's casual, and give some examples of those. So the most formal and most rigid version is technical writing. In these definitions, I've tried to give a good example of how those sound. So for this one, technical writing, for business settings where being precise is critical, when this form is used in normal speech, it gives an impression of being extremely serious or angry. So technical writing is like engineering writing. It's really formal. Maybe you need to get all the details exactly right. It's not at all what common speech sounds like. So if you're using phrases like this, it's going to come across as very serious, and it's not going to seem very personal at all. So the example is, I am going to the grocery store in 10 minutes. Do you want me to buy you something while I am there? So that sounds very rigid. If I were to tell someone that, they would probably think I was upset with them for some reason. It sounds too detailed for normal conversation, but it's very good for some business conversation where you might have to be detailed like that, or you might want to make sure the point is getting across. The next version, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Proper grammar. Didn't really have a good way to a good name for it, but proper grammar is the best I could come up with. This is, people still do talk this way, but it's a little bit more formal than regular casual speech. So it's much more relaxed than technical writing or speech, but not exactly how average people talk. This is more common in professional settings or emails. While accurate, it can come across as robotic if used too much in casual speech. So it flows much better than technical writing. It's not as heavy on the details, but it's still a little bit too formal for how most people talk. So some people do talk like that, and it's common in business settings, but if someone is talking like that all the time, they're just not going to seem very relaxed. So the example is, I'm going to the store soon. Do you want anything? So again, that's much more relaxed than the one above, but it's still a little bit too precise or compared to how people actually talk. And the last one, how the average person does talk, it's going to be different depending on where you're at. But the definition, or what I wrote for, is what most use when in a relaxed convo or texting. The vocab is different, but sentence structure is much easier to learn. Will change a ton by region and social groups. So I tried to, again, break down that definition to what that casual speech actually sounds like, or might be typed out maybe in a text or something like that. And the example is, I'm ahead to the store. You want something? That's much more normal what you might hear. It can actually be shortened even more. So you'll notice a couple things there. I'm is sort of slang for I'm going to, and then head, it just means going to as well. So it's a little bit doubled up there, but I'm ahead to the store, I'm ahead somewhere is really common in verbal speech, not really typed out as much, but you could say I'm gonna head to the store, I'm headed to the store, and if you really want to cut it down, or there's nothing wrong at all with saying heading to the store, want something. So it's completely fine to drop off more words and still sound fine. You probably will hear that at some points too. So you'll also notice in the second sentence, do you want anything? It can be shortened to you want something or just want something. So that do you doesn't actually have to be used. And it's a lot of times it will be dropped off in kind of casual speech. And I think that's a lot closer to other languages and said. So I think in a way it becomes easier on the structure for casual speech. It's just there's different slang words and phrases that might be harder to learn. On the left side, I have another example of how have you been versus how have you been. It's the exact same thing. One's just really vocalizing each word, how have you been. The other one is how people actually talk, how have you been. Just flowing everything together. So it's even a little bit unusual for me to see it typed out, but that's sort of what it sounds like when people actually talk, just running everything together. And I'm probably saying it a little fast on how have you been, but people do say it either that fast, or a slow version is still how have you been. Going into one more slide on more slang phrases. These are definitely more on the they're still very common, but it's definitely more slang words and not as formal, and maybe you won't hear it as much. Definitely not in Europe, but if you're in the US or talking with Americans casually, you'll probably hear these come up. So the first one is fixin' to or about to. It just means something will happen soon. So you could say, I'm fixing to come over, I'm about to go over there, I'm going over there soon. It looks like it's fixing to rain. It looks like it's about to rain. It looks like it's going to rain soon. And I do have a second sentence there that says, looks like it's fixing to rain. So fixing to kind of changes into fixing to, dropping the G. And then when people say it though, it really kind of runs together into fixing to. So it's fixing to rain. That's definitely more of a southern phrase though. And then there's gonna is from going to. So you gonna eat that? Are you going to eat that? It's very common to phrase things like that. So instead of are you going to eat that, you might just hear you gonna eat that instead. The next one, we talked a little bit about I'ma. It's short for I'm going to. So instead of I'm going to see you there, I'ma see you there. The next one's a little bit of a fun one. Made up, done up, all prettied up, gussied up. They all mean the same thing. So that means dressed nicely, or you have your makeup done, hair done, nails done, everything done, or everything did. So these are all words just to say that you look fancy, you put in effort. So in a sentence, it might be, where are you going all... Oh, I messed up on the sentence there, but where are you going all prettied up like that? So I'm not sure if there's kind of a good translation for it. Maybe there is a Ukrainian word for it, but all prettied up, done up, made up, gussied up, it just means you have your makeup done, wearing nice clothes, hair done, kind of put in effort. So fun little words on how to say that. The next one is grown. So to get bigger or older is sort of the definition, but this is used really commonly in a fun way. So a grown-up is an adult. That's one you'll hear very often. So grown-ups are what kids call adults maybe. And then you might say a kid has all grown up. So if someone says, why are you acting all grown up all of a sudden to a kid? It means like the kid is acting older, or maybe if a kid got a lot taller, you say you're all grown up. Get gas or fill up. So put this in here because it's very different depending on what country you're in. England calls it petrol stations. I don't know what Australia calls it, but I know US is the only one that calls gasoline for cars, or petrol for cars, gas. So we just call it gas stations, where you go and fill up your car or put gasoline in the car, gasoline or diesel into the car. And the example is, I'm on my way, but gotta stop for gas. And then the next word is gotta. So it's another way to say have to. I have to be at the airport in 4 hours. I gotta be at the airport in 4 hours, which is actually a true story. I have my flight to New York in, I have to leave to the airport for my flight in New York in 4 hours. I still have to pack and try and get a little bit of some sleep before then. And the last word we're covering is whatcha. So it's short for what are you. So instead of what are you doing, it's what you doing. And thank you. That's it for today, but I hope these were maybe helpful, or at least a little fun to go over. Hope you have a good day.